What's up, Solutionaries? Welcome to the Maj Toure Show. Haven't seen y'all in a while. Sticking and moving. Hit Cleveland, hit St. Louis. So I think I left on Friday morning. So I missed you guys last Friday. So we had an extended weekend. Y'all guys had a whole 3-day weekend away from Maj. Want to say what's up to everybody when you coming in? Smash the like button. Smash the like button. Give us some love, man. Y'all know that these platforms throttle. We can talk about that today with this Joe Rogan, Donald Trump shit. I watched it when over the time that I was in uh, Cleveland. I was in Cleveland. Huge shouts to NSSF. Make sure that you go over to gunvote.org, gunvote.org, to see which politicians are Second Amendment savvy and which one are Second Amendment suckers. Huge shouts to NSSF for making sure we were solid for the October classes. We did Phoenix, we did Chicago, we did St. Louis, we did Cleveland. Phoenix, Chicago, St. Louis, Cleveland, and Newark, New Jersey is this Wednesday. So I'm back in town getting ready for that Wednesday class, but that happened because of the National Shooting Sports Foundation. And I want, even outside of October, I want y'all to make sure that y'all tap in. And I also want you to make sure that you go over to solutionaryuniversity.org and get ready for New Jersey. If you're in the Newark, New Jersey area, I want to see you Wednesday. The class is free. If you guys jump in the chat, let's talk about some stuff. Let's get some questions happening. Let's see what's up, guys. But we're gonna talk about this Donald Trump situation today. Oh, before I jump to that too, guys, listen. I gotta say this. I'll say it throughout the show as well. But obviously, you guys know that we are in danger of having to end all of these free classes. If you are not following me on Twitter, you should be. I don't know why you're not. You bugging. But if you follow me on Twitter, X, I made a post a few days ago talking about this. For the last week or so, while focusing on the classes, I've been mentioning this, but I made a more explicit post, and we talked about what we're going to do to try to salvage this, to not have to close the Solutionary Center, to keep these classes going with Black Guns Matter, what needs to happen. And I'll talk a little bit about that a little bit later on this evening. But I want to get right into this Donald Trump situation. Now, for those of you that don't know, and I'm going to put this on the screen, but I won't play too much of it because I don't want to, YouTube is weird. They hit you with like a strike for copyright violation and all this other stuff, which is very ironic because they're trying to hide the Joe Rogan video. It's just weird. They kind of want you to watch it, but don't want you to watch it. But I want you guys to see something real quick here. I'll present it so you guys can see what I'm talking about on the share screen. Check this out. How many views? See that number right there? 2 days ago, 35,882,173 views in 2 days. Over 35 million views in 2 days. This is the reason why you have to have podcasts. This is the reason why you have to have genuine conversation. And I won't play this because I don't want to get the strike, but I do want you all to see what they already saying about this. They're already talking about, and we're going to go over it briefly. And the question I want to ask to everybody is, do you think that this changed the whole trajectory of the situation? Changed the whole trajectory. Like, I listened to this when I was at the bar having a burger in Cleveland in the last little bit of the flight. And it's 3 hours. And it definitely did not seem like 3 hours. Now, we're going to go over some of the back and forths. Some of the joints have, like, little takeaways that they got for it, but that's like the New York Times. Somebody give me a link. Bookworm, what's up? Bookworm, give me a link to some of that stuff that you sent me earlier in the chat so I can pull it up. Because that one page has a, you got to sign in and shit. But anyway, I listened to it, and I want to hear you guys' perspective. First, how many people in the chat actually saw the whole 3-hour interview? I want to hear from you guys and tell me your perspective. But I watched it anticipating it was going to be boring. I watched it and genuinely thought it was going to be like Trump only being, you know, like boisterous and you know, I had my little hat on. You know, I'm critical of Trump. I think he's better than Harris, but I don't think that we should deify any public servant, especially when it's already very, very famous. We got to be real critical of this shit. We can't just be out here like, oh yeah. My shouts to my guy Johnny C, Guns and Dobies on Instagram. I was on Van Lathan's post because Van Lathan was saying something about Trump, and I'm like, all right, cool. Well, you should get behind not Van, but people that say they pro-black, right? They should be behind Cornel West. But anyway, my guy Johnny was like, nah, man, you don't really go hard on Trump and them and on the right, and I'm just like, I don't have to because the left gives us so much material that I gotta constantly go, this was a lie, this was a lie, this was wrong, with Kamala and them. And Trump, he gets it wrong. And a whole episode on Thursday was about some of the areas that he got wrong. But my point is, I came into that interview legitimately waiting to see, like, is this going to be some BS? Is this going to be, what is it going to be? And it wasn't. It wasn't bad. It just wasn't. I mean, first I noticed that Trump has a decent amount of knowledge about a myriad of things. Okay? To me, We God just said, I watched it. I found Trump could not articulate his position on any issues clearly. I don't know what you was listening to. Maybe you talking about how he weaves in and out of a story. I do that sometimes too, and it's a stream of thought, a stream of consciousness that we'll get right back around to it. So maybe that's what you mean, right? But EO said it was great. Trump weaved and weaved, but I think was able to show a personal side that independents need to see. I agree with that. So today we're going to kind of talk about it. I want the smoke today, though, y'all. I want some of y'all that's in this chat to share this all over the place because I want to talk to people that disagree with me. So We God said he found that Trump could not articulate his position on any issues. What issue? Pick two, and then let's discuss that. Let's chop it up about that. That's why I want to engage everybody today. But even outside of just the interview, we can talk about that. But immediately I went to, man, they're going to censor the hell out of this. I actually went to that after I went into Trump is much better in long format, in my opinion. And that might be because I know how much they censor and chop and screw main man. Anybody that the leftist media wants to not let sound coherent, they can chop them and edit them. That's why you got to be very careful. You could sneeze. This is the power of media. Most effective devil in America. You could sneeze and the picture is you going, and they snap that and now it's on the front page to make you look stupid. Okay? So my point is, long format was the first thing that I thought that this dude should do long format interviews all the time. And a huge shout out to Joe Rogan. I haven't been on Joe Rogan's show yet. I think some people hated on me. Or I got kicked off of Instagram and don't have enough followers again and whatever. The YouTube channel's not large enough yet. We only 32,000 subscribers. Guys, let's get that up to 35,000. The vast majority of you that consume the content are not subscribed, so I want y'all to subscribe to the channel and get it to 35,000. But anyway, I thought that the weaves in and out, in a long format discussion, I'm more particular to weaves because I do them. And by weaves, we mean taking a storyline, going on like a side quest and sidebar in a conversation and coming back to the overall topic. I thought those were cool. I think that it showed that I didn't know he was such a fan of fighting. I thought he was just going to the fights just because it's 100,000 people there, right? Millions watching. That's what I thought it was. Come to find out he's talking about fighting and all of these different things. So I was impressed. I will give you guys some areas that I think Joe Rogan should have checked them on. Joe Rogan was critical and firm, but Joe Rogan could have asked him tougher questions. And Joe Rogan has identified this video of him talking about how he didn't want to help Trump. And I don't want to interview him because I don't want to help him. So it didn't come off that way because I thought Trump was going to be boisterous and I thought Rogan was going to be a little bit biased. But, generally Rogan is very, very inquisitive and respectful. He's a fighter, so that's kind of how it goes. But the bigger thing that I thought right after that was, man, they about to chop and screw main man up. And oh boy, guys. Let's start with that. Let's go with our good friends over at CNN. Our good friends. I have to say where these platforms are coming from when I give you guys information. Our good friends at CNN says, fact check, 32 false claims. That's how I feel like CNN sounds. 32 false claims Trump made it to Joe Rogan. Okay, now they said this is the 14-minute read. We ain't gonna read all of this shit. All right. Donald Trump sat down Friday with prominent podcast host Joe Rogan for a controversial interview that ran for nearly 3 hours. First and foremost, right there, Cat, it was not controversial. If you're an objective person that listens to people talk, you know, there is no way that you got this back and forth, pushing, answering questions, fully robust conversation. There's nothing that was in there that I think was controversial. And again, I want y'all to disagree with me if you disagree. But again, this is CNN. Controversial interview that ran for nearly 3 hours, and the former president delivered his standard bombardment of false claims, at least 32 in all. Hold on, who wrote this? I know it is CNN, but who's the... Daniel Dale. Somebody get me a picture of Daniel Dale. I bet you he got like 10-inch arms. But anyway, many of those false claims or lies that were debunked months or even years ago. The claims spanned a variety of topics, including immigration policy, environmental and energy policy, the legitimacy of the 2020 election, Trump's record in office, Vice President Kamala Harris, crowd sizes, and how schools deal with transgender children. Oh boy. And they did talk about all of these things. Now, I think some of these topics can be controversial, but I don't think that they were controversial in the conversation between Trump and Rogan. I just don't. Guys, if you're in the chat, hit the like button. I need everybody to hit the like button. If you're watching this on whatever platform, share it. Share it. Give it away. It's free. Do your red hot chili pepper. Give it away, give it away, give it away now. Okay? We can't be like just talking all of this shit and not sharing it with the people. We go as solutionaries. When you tap into the Mod 2 ratio, we going to have conversations about things and tie them into solutions that we can all use. Shouts to our brother Ryan Jackson, first super chat of the day. Guys, remember, we try to get 10 folks at the $20 level. 10 folks. All right. Our brother Ryan Jackson says, what's good, my brother? The most effective devil in America is at it again. 100%. It is. All right. Let's get 9 more folks to match Ryan's donation. Guys, again, we are rumbling to keep Black Guns Matter afloat, and we'll go into that in a second. We need 1,682 donors at the $100 level by Election Day. And I am going to go into why we're doing that a little bit later. But huge shouts to Ryan Jackson. But anyway, let's go back to this here. Here's a fact check of 32 false claims Trump made to Rogan. This is not intended as a complete list of the inaccurate statements Trump uttered in the interview. This guy's not biased at all, right? With just over a week to go until Election Day, we were unable to look into every dubious assertion he made. I gotta stop, guys, real quick. I'm doing the weave thing. I'm doing the Trump weave in and out thing on this one today, guys. We gotta stop pretending like this is up the middle journalism when we using terms like that. Dubious, fact, da 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 da. Now I'm gonna be very clear. I have not read this article. Have not read it. But I'm willing to bet that the vast majority of the things in this article, I watched the entire 3 hours. I am a libertarian. I am not a Republican, a member of the GOP or nothing like that, right? But I'm willing to bet that this journalist, writer, is going to get a whole bunch of this stuff wrong. So for full transparency, y'all, I'm going to say if whatever Dale, whatever his name is, gets right, if I agree or if I disagree, and some of it just you flat out wrong. So I'll make sure y'all, as we weave through this, I'll make sure I'll be objective with you all. Immigration, migrants and murderers. Trump repeated his frequent false claim that we had 13,099 murderers dropped in our country over the last few years, end quote. In reality, as the Department of Homeland Security and independent experts have noted, that official figure is about immigrants with homicide convictions in the U.S. today who entered the country over decades, including during Trump's own administration, not over the past 3 years or under the Biden administration. You can read more here. All right, I'm gonna say I think that he's taking this dude out of context. Now, specific numbers, even when I heard the number 13 and 99, I was like, that's a weird number. I don't know about that. So numbers change and all of that. I think the point that was being made was there are people that have been unlawfully entering into the nation that have done crimes. Because even here it says the figure is about immigrants with homicide convictions in the U.S. today who entered the country over decades, including during Trump's own administration, not over the last 3 years or under the Biden administration. Now, this person does not say lawfully enter into the country. The point is the fact that we have a bunch of unlawful immigration into America. I don't think anybody can disprove that. And it's just amazing to me that CNN, just the first thing that they run into, right, is let's see what he lied about. But let's go to the next one. Trump's border wall. The former president falsely claimed, I built 570 miles of wall. End quote. That's a significant exaggeration. Official government data shows 458 miles were built under Trump, including both wall built where no barriers had existed before and wall built to replace previous barriers. Okay, so now we splitting hairs over 100 miles. All right, cool. He built a lot and then Congress didn't want to hook him up. Okay. Harris's border role. Trump repeated a regular false claim about Harris. She was in charge of the border. She was not, end quote. She was not and is not. Homeland Security Secretary Alejandro Mayorkas is the Biden administration official in charge of border security. In reality, President Joe Biden gave Harris a more limited immigration-related assignment in 2021, asking her to lead diplomacy with El Salvador, Guatemala, and Honduras in an attempt to address the conditions that prompted their citizens to try to migrate. So, which means she was tasked to handle the question around migration. The number of migrants. Trump claimed that at least 21 million people have illegally crossed the border during the Biden administration. Though through September, the country had recorded under 11 million nationwide. Okay. Encounters with migrants during the Biden administration, including millions who were rapidly expelled from the country, even adding in so-called gotaways who evaded detection, estimated by House Republicans as being roughly 2 million. There's no way the total is 21 million. Now, my question here is, earlier he said, click here for more info. I don't see the election, click here when it comes to the migrants. Outcome of the 2020 election, legitimacy. Let me stop right here, y'all. Let me stop. Because I don't want to give y'all 32 fucking of these. This is starting to, I don't see any of the actual data that says, like again, earlier, here, read these figures here. From here on out, it just seems like it's about to be a whole bunch of his opinion over his opinion. Okay? And I don't have the fucking time. I just don't care. I just don't care enough. I'm gonna keep it a buck with y'all. I don't care enough. And let me tell you why I don't care enough. I cannot trust the mainstream media. You can't either. CNN is not a credible source. It just isn't. And I want to pull from CNN. I want to pull from Newsweek. I want to pull from MSNBC. I want to pull from Fox. And they all put the spin to whatever. I just don't want to read 32 things that we're going to argue back and forth about this guy. Somebody get me a picture of what this guy looks like. I'm willing to bet he's like, oh man, probably not a strong dude. And I could be wrong. Okay? We got said if he's versed on many topics, he should know it's cheaper to leave the equipment over there. I personally don't agree with it, but that's what we've always done. So he's talking about the topic of when him and Joe Rogan had the discussion. Again, guys, instead of me going to, let's do it this way. Y'all ask me questions. So if you guys saw the actual, conversation, put them in the chat right here. And today will be a back and forth, right? And we'll weave into some of the other articles that I have and I'll screen share. But the brother said, okay, so let's start with this one, what we guys said. Also, the other issue about leaving equipment in Afghanistan. I served 10 years in the Army. We have always left equipment in whatever country we were at war with. We did it in Desert Storm, Operation Iraqi Freedom. If he's versed on many topics, he should know it's cheaper to leave the equipment over there. I personally don't agree with it, but that's what we've always done. I knew that based on my friends in the military years ago, as well as there's movies that talk about it. Lord of War with Nicolas Cage talked about that. They literally explain that in the movie. That's how the Merchant of Death, the real person that movie Lord of War is loosely based upon, that's how he was able to go into so many different places and buy the munitions and sell them on the dark market. Okay? But that's not what the conversation was at that point in the conversation. It was about the botched leaving. And I do not think that just because it's cheaper, you can't say that somebody is the evilest villains in the world. You want to leave trillions of dollars of munitions and hardware over there. Break it down, sell it, figure it out, and that ties into the botched exit. And that's what the conversation was about, the botched exit. Now, I don't anticipate Trump in his first term to initially know that the munitions are left. Most people don't know that. They don't know it because they don't pay attention. Most people don't even know what the word flank means, okay? Unless they're talking about a steak. So I didn't anticipate him to know that right there, all right? Iron Will said, never trust mainstream media. I'm late, just got home. Not as much is left in Afghanistan. Agreed. I'm just saying to you all that the spin is on. And I want to ask you guys the question of, do you feel like this Joe Rogan? How many people, I want y'all to talk, engage today, guys, right? How many of y'all actually saw the whole interview? How many people actually saw it? How many people saw the whole interview? Okay. Mr. Mystery said, I mean, when we killed bin Laden, they had a downed helicopter and they destroyed it before evacuating. Now, I agree with that. But munitions, when they say cheaper, they're talking about tanks, MRAPs, guns, ammo, tents, everything. You be in a place for 20 years and the different soldiers come and leave, but it's almost like a city. So I get less expensive to take it because it's just like shipping. Hell, when I take 50 to 70 to 90 CERT pistols, right? When I take those fake firearms, CERT pistols, it costs $200 to put them on a plane. And that's just CERT pistols. 200 there, 200 back. Hence why we fundraise so damn much. All of this stuff ain't free. So I understand the importance of the conversation around it being cheaper, but cheaper could turn into something else. The Taliban had and they talked about this in the episode, they had an actual parade with all of the shit in Afghanistan that we left. These are supposed to be the evil villains. You got to figure out a way to make it make sense. You don't leave a whole group of whatever with the bad guys. See, the bigger conversation is maybe you wasn't supposed to be there in the first place. And that's the area that I wanted Joe Rogan to challenge him on. Here's some areas that he didn't challenge Trump on for whatever reason. He did not challenge Trump on being a big spender as it relates to buying more tech for the military industrial complex. I know when I hear people say Trump didn't get us into any new wars. He didn't bring us out of Syria. He didn't bring us out of Yemen. His presence did stop the Russia-Ukraine thing. I have to agree with that. But Joe didn't push back on him. Joe didn't push back on him about Operation Warp Speed. That's the whole vax thing. He talked to him about RFK Jr. and RFK has been clear on these vaccines being horrible. He didn't ask him any question about you authorized the warp speed situation. The vaccine, that's one of your biggest, or you think that's one of your biggest achievements and accomplishments. And it was horrible. The way that they handled the money as it relates to the ventilators. The way that they handled the money in relating to shutting the country down. He didn't ask those questions. And if we want to be legitimate and be taken legitimate as opposed to, I just want to, have Trump on. And I'm not saying this is exactly what Joe Rogan's reason is, but you got to ask the hard questions. So Rogan didn't softball him, but he also was not rude and disrespectful to him. Okay? He also was not as aggressive as I think he normally would have been. Or I think he would be if Kamala Harris would decide to say she's going to sit down with Joe Rogan. And maybe she will. But she sat down with Club Shay Shay today. She sat down with Club Shay Shay today. And I'm going to watch that one and maybe we give some content on that. But I'm pretty sure I already know how that conversation went. They talking about clubbing and collard greens and all of this other stupid shit. What I can say of this Joe Rogan episode was a few things. One, it 1000% made Trump look more like a human in the sense of not the robot. Because normally every time I see him, he's standing there, he walks out, he's very like I can't even call it stoic because he tells jokes. His comedic timing is good. But it made him seem more like, hey, I watched the fights. They had a nice back and forth about the fights, but it always seemed to make it way back to policy. And Joe Rogan did kind of ask him, he said, hey, what would you do differently? He named some people. I should have fired this guy. I should have did this. I should have did that. Right? And this is something that we would like to see from a politician or a public servant to say, here's where I dropped the ball. I went into this thinking this, and these people would be solid around me, and they weren't, and I should have got rid of them a little bit earlier. Okay? The Osmond says that Club Shay Shay with Kamala was the definition of softball. Very robotic. Mo Fly says the entire interview was her blaming Trump for everything. And that's the thing. Like, I can't get behind somebody that... Listen, guys, if we fail to raise funds for Black Guns Matter, to keep this thing going, right? It will be my fault. It means I failed to galvanize the people to want to be inspired to support us the work financially. It means I failed to translate it properly. It means I failed to do something. That's what leadership is. But if all somebody can do is say, this is Trump's fault, this is Trump's fault, I can't take you serious. And nobody should take you serious. It's just what it is. And every 2 minutes, all I hear her talking about is Trump. I seen a clip from that Shay Shay video, Club Shay Shay. And no, it wasn't Shay Shay. It was the one brother that roasted her, that didn't let her get off he was actually doing journalistic integrity thing. And he said, well, you were in the White House for 3.5 years. And she said, and Trump has been campaigning. And I just was like, what the fuck does Trump have to do with any of this shit? What does Trump have to do with this? You have been in the White House for 3.5 years. If you are saying we need change, you were the person in there that could have implemented change, but you didn't. And you want to say, I was in the room in all of them big decisions. So you made the big decision blunders. You don't think those need to change, but you're telling the people we running on change. You want to be Obama so fucking bad. Why? Just be your own self. Oh, but you can't because you have no whatever. And so that lack of personal accountability on a situation is very, very ugly to me. Very ugly, solutionaries. Now, I want to jump into this real quick, guys, because I think this is very important. Okay? Let's check this out real quick. Hold on, let me take that off. Stop the screen real quick. I want to show y'all something that I found very interesting. This was the part that I said, My first mind was, they're going to get this off of YouTube. It was too long format. They started talking about, Trump alluded that, because, Rogan is into the whole Martian thing, right? And he kind of brought up the Space Force conversation, and he told him about alluded to, there's things going on with the little men in space. I know you like to talk about that. Almost low-key saying, when I get in, I need to talk about some of this because it needs the American public needs to know. So my first thought after the first few things, I'm like, all right, they might. Then they started getting into policy and who messed up and this, that, and the third and da-da-da-da and Area 51. And now it could be all a pander, but I have never saw a politician, first of all, be that well versed on that myriad of topics, even if it's on just a base level, which tells me that he's actually thinking about thinking. And I'm not mad at that. I'm a fan of that, actually. And after seeing it, I just was like, they're not going to let this be on the thing for so long. So then I found this. I actually seen the Hodge twins talk about it. That prompted me to go look into this. And it says, did YouTube censor Joe Rogan's Donald Trump interview? What we know. And I was like, yeah, bet they did. So let's read this real quick. Let me close this. Former President Donald Trump's highly anticipated, see, now, these are two different platforms, okay? And the first sentences, the one that I read from y'all earlier from CNN, oh, controversial, this, that, and the third. Newsweek, former President Donald Trump's highly anticipated 3-hour interview with Joe Rogan generated controversy among some supporters of the Republican presidential candidate. Okay? That's different. The wording is different. And this is how it's important that when you pull up different platforms, you understand the lean of each side. So you can kind of see when it's them being objective and to the point, even if you don't like their answer. And the difference between that and them just trying to tell you how to think. They almost like leading you in a different direction. But anyway, latest episode of the Joe Rogan Experience podcast was published on Friday and has already racked up 33 million views. It has quickly become one of the most viewed podcast appearances of the 2024 election cycle for either Trump or Vice President Kamala Harris. When the video was initially uploaded to YouTube, it was unlisted, meaning it could only be accessed through a direct link and wouldn't appear in search results or on the uploader's page. Rogan took to X, formerly Twitter, on Friday to clarify that it was unlisted due to a technical issue with Spotify. Maybe, you never know. He says, quote, there is no issue with YouTube censoring the Trump episode. It was just supposed to go live on both Spotify and YouTube at the same time, and there was a glitch in Spotify's upload system, and so we delisted the YouTube link until it's fixed. It should be fine now, Rogan wrote. The video is no longer unlisted. Newsweek reached out to YouTube and Spotify for comment. Another concern raised by commenters on the YouTube video was that despite being highly viewed, it was not featured on YouTube's trending page. There is no way in the world that a video that is the Club Shay Shay interview with Cat Williams was front paged everywhere and it didn't have 33 million views in 2 days. Like, stop the cap. Stop it. I don't think that Joe Rogan is lying per se, but I think somebody like, oh, this is what really happened, Joe. And it may have not been what actually happened. But it sounds like cap to me. Okay? Now, when we're talking about the not featured thing, that's 1,000% deliberate. It's 1,000%. Club Shay Shay with Cat Williams was all over the place. All over the place. YouTube, who already has a whole bunch of money, it's not about the money for YouTube per se at this point. It's about a narrative and controlling a narrative. Okay? What is being said? What is not being said? Even if we can hide this from an additional 5 to 10 million people in the first couple of days or hours, right? The new news cycle pops off and we're not really focused on that. Okay? So that's what I'm saying. Like that, it's about power at a certain point and influence. But anyway, they couldn't stop the show because most people on social media, everybody does, they go, hey, why isn't this on the feature page? Why isn't this here? Why isn't and then they fall back because the people are active. That's what normally happens. But let's read a little bit more. It says YouTube's trending page highlights new, well-viewed videos. According to guidelines published by YouTube's owner, Google, each featured video requires final approval from a dedicated staff. Trending videos are selected by balancing several different factors, including their engagement levels, the diversity of their content, appeal to a wide range of viewers, and lack of clickbait or misleading content. Political videos can be featured in this section if they meet the platform's criteria. YouTube has thorough policies about election-related content, which includes removing videos that spread election misinformation and elevating informative videos from authoritative sources. Listen to that sentence. There's their platform. It includes removing videos that spread election misinformation and elevating informative videos from authoritative sources. We want you to have an approved by us, fact checked by us situation. That's not complicated, nor is it surprising for YouTube, which is owned by Google. In no way, shape, or form. Okay? It's unclear why YouTube did not feature Rogan's interview with Trump in the trending section. The former president's decision to take a break from the campaign trail to appear on a podcast just 11 days before the election underscores the power of Rogan's reach. Rogan's podcast is the most popular on Spotify, according to the streaming players charts. He has more than 14 million followers on the app, more than 3 times the amount of second most followed podcaster. His channel on YouTube boasts nearly 18 million followers, and his videos regularly rack up millions of views. The two men appeared to have a good rapport during the wide-ranging interview, despite Rogan describing Trump as, quote, an existential threat to democracy 2 years ago. During the mostly friendly interview, the pair discussed Trump's persistent and long-debunked claims. Hey, now we're getting into the leftist part of Newsweek. About election fraud, aliens, and Trump's regrets about appointing disloyal people to his first cabinet that later turned on him. That's it. Guys, this is what I'm saying. And I want to be very clear about and how we tie this as solutionaries, how we tie this back into our situation. Okay? The media and these platforms, and to a certain extent, including Joe Rogan, and I'm not saying that in a rude way, it's part of a machine at this point. Now, do I think that Rogan is as bad as the CNN? Absolutely not. Absolutely not. I think because he's a human that's inquisitive about things, I think he would have Kamala on, but I think she backed out. Okay? Do I think that he's going to play the money game a little bit here and there? Yes. Do I think that he's going to play it less than the general public? Yes, too. Less than a CNN, less than a Newsweek, less than an MSNBC? Yes. I think that for him to maintain a certain level of objectivity and what his followers are going to him for, he has to. It's damaging to the brand to not. No different than 2 years ago, he was spouting, he is a threat to democracy. And I remember hearing Rogan saying that and going, what are you talking about, Joe? You're way more sharp than this shit. Joe Rogan is way more sharp and curious about life and has access to too much information and resources to be repeating such extreme leftist talking points. That's fucking wild. And it's backwards. And that's the reason why I thought this interview was going to be one or the other. It was going to be the argumentative pushback, or it was going to be, a genuine, like, snooze fest because Trump was just going to talk about himself. But it wasn't that. But I do see the machine 100% tapping into kind of like censor it. And, it was a glitch. Listen, man, at that level of whatever it is, that glitch ain't an accident. I don't believe in coincidences at that level about this close to an election. What does this mean for us? This means that bringing it full circle. And I want to tie this as solutionaries. Y'all know we do this because we're going to get out of here shortly. We got civics class in about 20 minutes. But I want to say this to you all. This is the reason why we have to have the people supporting the people doing the work. This is the reason why we are struggling financially to get support for Black Guns Matter. Because we have to do it ourselves. There are Second Amendment organizations that won't touch us with a 10-foot pole because of where we go. The conversations, the being objective, the being critical, the calling it up the middle. I think Trump has been horrible for the Second Amendment. I think he's been great for business. I still think he's too much of a big spender to call himself a conservative. I think to a certain extent, he's a little bit more socially liberal in some areas. He was raised a Democrat. We're not knocking that. My point in saying this is that level of objectivity, when you get the bag, not from the people, but from the corporate entities, you are going to have to play the game a little bit more. And I think these statements about Rogan about, it wasn't nefarious, there was just a mistake, is because he got a deal with Spotify. 30 million, if I'm not mistaken. Something this big is pre-thought out, and it's not a glitch. It's not a glitch on, Spotify's upload. No. Now that's something that your team might have told you, and you trust your team and you repeat that, but I don't believe that. I also do not believe that YouTube is just, they're telling you, hey, has the ability to reach people. Google is more in bed with leftist media and propaganda. So they saying, he might say some election fraud stuff and that's misinformation. So let's down ballot it. Let's down vote it. Let's throttle it in a negative way. All of this is tied into our work. We need everyone to help support us to keep this alive. I do not want to take a big check from a company that'll say, Maj, you cannot say that. Maj, you cannot go there. When I started Black Guns Matter, I had a person that was going to be my designated, he's going with me as the gun trainer in every city. When he knew that we were going, when he found out that we was going to leftist anti-gun cities, he backed out. He backed out for that reason. And now we had to figure it out. And it's been great that we figured it out, but it's the same thing here. The people don't want you to do a thing. He told me, don't go to leftist cities. Our first one was in Baltimore, Maryland. Okay? Don't go, don't go, don't go. And we went. We went, and we're going to continue to go. This is what happens when you have the support of the people. And right now, y'all, we struggling with the support of the people. I'll tie this in to what some of you may not know. We are at risk of having to end Black Guns Matter in our free courses. Okay? We tried, when we started making some traction last week, the Give, Send, Go page, there was an error on the Give, Send, Go page. I thought it was nefarious. I text the founder of Give, Send, Go. He said, nah, it's weird, but I'll figure it out. They fixed it. We lost a day or two of fundraising. We are currently looking like we're going to have to end the classes and close the Solutionary Center. But we're going to push. I'm going to push because regardless of who wins this election, if we see Google, if we see YouTube, if we see CNN, if we see Newsweek, and the entire legacy media, leftist media, start to galvanize against this person, and they have, that's billionaire Trump, president, right? If he somehow pulls this off, from November the 5th to January the 5th, 6th is going to be the wildest potential 2 months ever. And there needs to be more Americans that have the means to defend themselves wherever they land on the political spectrum. Because the left, if Trump wins, I think will be unhinged. And the general public that are maybe not even in this political conversation in hoods across America need to have the means to defend themselves. So yes, we want to do 7 cities in Texas and 7 cities in California. Okay? We need to do this. That shit costs money. We need to buy the Solutionary Center. We are up against a mountain, a pro-gun organization. Let's say we sold guns. There are some banks that don't even want to do business with gun companies that have billions of dollars. That is not about money. It's about control. So we don't have billions of dollars. We have to rely on the people's support. We got to buy this building. We got $168,000 more to raise. The owner has been super patient with us, but at a certain point, he has to make a different decision. So we want to give him a big bag of money and go, let's do it this way, owner operated type of deal. And we need your support. So what I decided to do was say, one last hoorah. I feel like that Trump energy. One last hoorah. They beat us up. We've been fighting. Dumb shit happening, but great shit can happen too. From now until November the 5th, election day, because I think a lot will be said about America on election night. We are trying to we need 1,682 more donors at the $100 level. I'm not asking you to give 1,682 yourself. I'm asking everybody that listens to this to just be one. Just one. Right now, there's 270 some odd people watching this right now, which tells me we're throttled. The Instagram page, the X page alone has about 40,000 people on it, right? The YouTube channel is 32,000, but only 280 some odd people are in here right now. My point in saying that is this. Imagine if all 280 some odd of those people went over to givesendgo.com/solutionary, that link below, and all of those, let's say 250 of those people gave $100. You understand? We're trying to knock out the entire remainder, buy the building, secure all of November and December's California and Texas classes, as well as 2025's classes, keeping these entry-level classes free to all, because similar to Trump, if you can't do that shit your own, and you're talking about things that are outside of a globalist agenda, outside of the Epstein Island motherfuckers, oh, they, you ain't with us. So since you ain't with us, you over there. You have to be your own island. And I want to work for you all to continue to build this island. The media is going to misportray. Y'all see, why I haven't been on the Breakfast Club? Why y'all think that is? It's not an accident. You understand? But they'll have my son and all these goofballs tap dancing for Kamala Harris on there willy-nilly. Ain't did shit in these communities. Talk all this pro-black shit. Ain't did none of it. So I'm asking everybody, just like we see these platforms that go out of, this Rogan thing is an anomaly. Even with a little bit of bullshit in the game, it's still an anomaly that works. 35 million views in 2 days. You understand? Long format. Because Rogan built an island and he got into bed with the Spotify. I still don't think it's all the way corrupt. I just don't. But if we're not in bed with anybody, we got to 100% do it ourselves, guys. And I'm asking you all, similar in these scenarios, all freedom fighters, whatever level of compromise they might have, right? All freedom fighters have to be free to fight for freedom. And financing a revolution in thought, in action, in deed. It's a lot of support. It's a lot of support. Mr. Mystery with the $5 super chat. Appreciate that. Mr. Mystery says, I became a libertarian after COVID, and I noticed how giving the government too much power was destroying people's lives. You were a big part of that. I appreciate that, Mr. Mystery. That warms my heart, for real. Our brother Ryan Jackson says, I'm going to do everything in my power to continue to support your case, and will get others to support as well. Appreciate that. Listen, guys, we're going to wrap up. We got civics class in about 15 minutes. The Rogan interview was good. I want everybody to go watch it. Go watch it. Put it on the backdrop while you're cleaning, cooking up, shower, something, driving to work, coming back. Take notes. Watch. Listen. I thought it was genuine. I think it humanized Trump. I think it was good and balancing up the middle. I wish I would have liked Joe to ask him some questions, like I said earlier, but I can't let good be the enemy of great unless it's me trying to be great, right? I think it was good in that sense. Lastly, I'm going to ask everybody to do this. Thank you, Scrapping Beauty, with a $10 super chat. Thank you for that. She says, you are needed, Maj. Thank you so much for that. Warms my heart. Guys, I'm going to ask you all. We have a week. There will be no Black Guns Matter if we don't do this. I got it. That just means the people don't want it. And if they don't want it, freedom dictates that I accept with the freedom and choices that the people have. Okay? I'm asking everybody that watches this to donate $100. You get access to all 3 of the online classes. Civics, if anybody's taking any of your classes, comment. Say what you think about those classes. Civics, Firearms Basics, Understanding Imminent Threat. You get curriculums to all of them. These are online. You take them at your leisure. You schedule them when you want to take them on whatever day. You get the curriculums, which is yours. You get access to the Solutionary 9 Telegram group, which is dry fire practice, workout material, diet plans, family stuff. Solutionary 9 are 9 daily activities that we do to become more well-rounded solutionaries. There's guys in that group that I was feeling down one day, and folks in the Solutionary group was like, nah, you got to do this. So you get access to that. There's no other way to get access. You get access to, you get your own affiliate link. You sell the merch. You take a 15 to 20% commission. So if you sell $300 or $400 worth of commission or whatever that is, you get your money back. My point is, we want to give more to people that do more. Okay? The date where you give is right there. Somebody type it in the comment section. But it's right under me. GiveSendGo.com/solutionary. Also, if you're a $100 donor, you get access to the Black Guns Matter television show, which is unreleased to the public, and a bunch of other things. I'm asking every single person that hears this, I just want you to be one. We need 1,682 donors at the $100 level, and we are done. We are trying to do the impossible, a haymaker, like that Washington Commanders game yesterday. I saw it when I was on like a Sports Center type deal, okay? Hail Mary, last attempt. We got a week until November the 5th. I want everybody that sees this, just be one donor at $100. You get all of the classes, and you're paying it forward for other people. I can get 2 people in an in-person class with that $50. The handout, the flight, all of that math averaged out, I can get about 2 people for that $100. So you're getting 3 classes, and you're helping 2 other people take the in-person firearms classes. Very important and very needed. I'm asking everybody to donate at the $100 level. Don't just do it to like say you're going to do it later. As soon as the live is over, click the button. GiveSendGo.com/solutionary. It's right under me right there. I want to thank you all for tapping in tonight. I will see everybody that's registered for the civics class in about 10 minutes. Civics classes tonight. See you all there. I want you guys to share the show. I want you guys to remember to donate towards the work at GiveSendGo.com/solutionary. Watch that Joe Rogan YouTube with Donald Trump. Give me your perspective. Follow me on social media at xmaj2ray999, youtube.com/maj2ray, rumble.com/maj2ray. I want to thank you all for tapping in. I will see you all tomorrow at 6 p.m. Eastern. Be safe. Be solutionary.